Boo! Okay, I had to have gotten at least one of you, and as long as I got one of you, then I'm very satisfied. However, I didn't get anyone, then, yeah, that was apparently pointless. But anyways, happy Halloween! It's the best time of year, pretty much. Christmas might trump this, but Halloween, before we get to Christmas, I mean, come on. So as the spooky season, I decided to tell you guys my ghost story, and my kind of experiences, if you will. Side note, I went on a haunted tour of a nearby town with my mom this past weekend, and it was a lot of fun, and there's pictures popping up that I got some really cool pictures with some like weird orb things in them that weren't in some pictures and then were in some. My story started when I was probably like 7 or 8 years old. I was falling asleep one night and I had this super lucid dream. And it was like I had gotten pushed back through the wall behind me and like everything just kind of blurred past me. And then I was standing in my room, but everything was decorated differently and it was all kind of like weird-ish looking. It was bizarre. And I knew I was dreaming, but at the same time it was very, very, very realistic. And so I was standing there, and in front of me is a man laying in what would have been, I don't want to say my bed, but laying in the bed in my room. I recognize in the doorway my mother, my father, and my older sister, all of them younger, my sister only 2 years old, which my grandfather died 2 years before I was born, when my sister was 2. And I recognized my grandmother standing next to the bed, and they all kind of said goodnight, and my grandmother kissed him, and they all left the room and closed the door. So at this point, I realized that the guy laying in the bed is my grandfather. So I walk up to him, and I'm looking down at the bed, and I'm thinking, wow, like this is him, because I've never met him, obviously. And as I'm standing there, all of a sudden he wakes up very suddenly, gasps for air, and then falls back to the bed. And I'm like, did he just die? And as soon as I think that, I get pushed back forward, and once I get to and everything blurs around me again, and once I get back to like where present day would be, I snap just awake. And it's probably around 1 a.m, and I'm like, I can't go to sleep again. So I got out of bed and I went to go get a drink of water or something from the kitchen, and out there is my mom, who's folding laundry because she can't sleep or whatever, and she's like, why is my 8-year-old up at 1 o'clock in the morning? And so she obviously asks me, and I said, well, I had a bad dream, and so she asked me to tell her about it, and so I'm talking to her about it, and she goes, yeah, no, aside from myself, your father, and your sister being there, that's how he died, and he died in your room. He had a massive heart attack in his sleep. Now, mind you, before that point, my little childish brain had come up with the solution that he was struck by lightning. So clearly I was very off and had no way of knowing how he had actually died. So my kind of theory with that is, since he died in my room, he was trying to reach out to me since he'd never met me and be like, hey, you don't need to be scared of storms, because that kind of instilled the fear of storms with me, thinking that he had died. Anyways. So after that point, I became a little bit obsessed, if you will, with the paranormal and that whole ghost thing. So fast forward to my freshman year of high school, and I've gotten to know quite a bit about paranormal research and that sort of stuff, because I just, like, literally anytime any sort of paranormal show was on, I would turn it on, and I would, like, look up stuff about ghosts and what have you. So I, like, was obsessed. Anyways, so I'm laying in bed trying to fall asleep, and all of a sudden, I hear in my attic a thump, 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 going from one side of the room all the way across the ceiling to the other. Now, this thump, 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 thump did not sound like any kind of animal I had ever heard in my ceiling. Mind you, a few years later, we had a raccoon in our attic, and so I know what that sounds like, and it sounded like a man with work boots on running across my ceiling. Also, here's a fun fact for you. That area of my attic, people can't physically get into it because we have double joists on the only entrance, so you can't fit. It's a box about this big. No one, like, unless you're a small child, you can't fit in there. And even if you were a small child who could fit in there, that area of my attic is so stooped down, you can't run through there. And it was somebody running through my attic. And I have no solution for it. So I was trying to figure out why there would be someone running around in my attic, if there was a spirit there, like what could the connection be. I've heard that bad spirits will pretend to be somebody you love so that you are more comfortable around them, and then they can stay longer and that you don't immediately like kick them out of your house. So I'm like, you know, just to cover my bases, I'm gonna say a few prayers in here. Just cover my bases, make sure that nothing bad is in my room. So I had some prayer cards from my church, so I pick up a bunch of prayer cards and do the whole in Jesus' name, if there's any bad spirits, I command you to leave. And then I went through a bunch of the prayer cards. And so I'm standing there, ready completely for bed, tank top, pajama pants. There's like nothing here in this area that could have done anything to me. And so I'm reading off these prayer cards and I feel something right here. And I'm like, well, okay, so I lift up my shirt, I look, there's nothing there. And I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna keep reading. And so I keep going through the cards and reading them aloud quietly because everybody else was asleep in my house. And I feel this thing again at my chest. And I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna keep reading at this point because I don't know what that was, and it was the same thing before, and I don't want to make it stop and then start again. So let's just get through all these prayer cards, and then it'll probably go away. So I finish all the prayer cards, and I get through all of them, and I put them down. And I've felt this thing now the entire rest of the time I was reading these. So I lift up my shirt to look again, and I have a scratch on my chest, and I don't know where it came from. I was literally just wearing like a cotton tank top and nothing else up there. So like there was no possible way that anything on me scratched me. And it wasn't like I felt pain. It was like a tingling, not warm. It was just like a tingling sensation. It wasn't anything that was like painful. And then all of a sudden there's like this scratch there. I don't know. So the long and short of it is my room is possibly haunted, possibly not anymore because I haven't experienced anything since then, and that was probably my sophomore, junior year of high school. So it's been a few years. And I believe in ghosts is kind of the result because I don't have any explanation for any of those things, and they were bizarre and kind of scared me a lot in the moment. And I did not want to go to sleep that night that I got scratched at all. I thought I could share that little story with you for Halloween, and I thought that would be kind of a fun little October thing to do. So if you guys have any fun, creepy stories that happen to you that you can't explain or whatever, go ahead and leave them in the comments because that'd be cool to read, and I love reading more about those because, again, slightly obsessed with paranormal research and that kind of stuff. Also, side note, on the tour that I went on, there was a story about this guy whose wife died, and then he was all like, hey, I'm into chemistry, I could totally make an elixir to bring her back to life. And so then he would go out and kill chickens, or like hit chickens really hard in the head, and then pour this like mashed up banana with the elixir potion thing on it, and then pour it down the chicken's throat. And so he accidentally didn't hit one hard enough that he just knocked it out and then poured this banana mixture thing down its throat, and it came back to life. And so he thought he was like a genius. And then he went and dug up his wife's body, brought it back, started feeding her this banana thing, and it was like, oh, she's coming back to life. And so they carried her dead body upstairs, laid it in bed, and slept with it for 2 weeks. Slept with it, carried it back downstairs, poured this banana thing, carried it back upstairs, slept with it, etc., etc. Until one of his kids came in and found their dead mother sitting at the kitchen table with like a banana in front of her or whatever. And then they reburied her and he went off to the loony bin. But he did this 18 years after she died. Like, was when he found his magical elixir. Like, what the heck? Why would you sleep with an 18-year-old corpse? That's so gross. For 2 weeks. So gross. So gross. I don't care how much you miss someone. They're dead. Move on. That's disgusting and horrific, and I can't believe you wanted to do that. Ugh. Tangent over. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to leave a like or a comment, or if you really liked it, feel free to subscribe to me and check out my other videos, because that would be really greatly appreciated. I will see you all in the next video. Have a great day. Bye!